Greetings, all you blood test passing changelings out there, and welcome to The Inner Four Lights, the show that is called that and nothing else, a watch of Star Trek Picard Season 3. My name is Fletcher. About to say hello is Data.
What up?
We are also the hosts of the Star Trek Deep Space Nine podcast, Undeclared Bajor, available on the Fletcher from the Deep YouTube channel, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this. So if you like listening to us and you like Star Trek Deep Space Nine, go check that out too. And we're almost the end of Season 2, so we got all your favorites from those seasons. You can go listen to our review of Move Along Home, our review of The Storyteller. I don't know how good that review actually is, but we definitely always have fun hating on that episode.
Yep.
Duet. Just all the good stuff. Oh, go listen to the Blood Oath review. I don't know why that has such low numbers.
Everyone just already knew that was a good episode.
Yeah.
So.
It's like there's no suspense. There's like, oh, we know how this review is gonna go. But that's a fun review. Go check them all out. And I guess we have to make a little channel announcement, or not channel announcement, but this show announcement that someone is going on vacation next week, and so we will not be here at our regular Monday time slot next week. We will have to catch up with a double episode the following week.
Sure.
Or something. But maybe, if I'm not too incredibly lazy, I'll find something to put in that slot, so you're not totally missing us on Monday. I don't know. But today, we're going to recap, discuss, and theorize about Star Trek Picard, Season 3, Episode 5/Part 5, Imposters. Alternate title, Row, Row, Row Your Boat.
Oh.
Yes.
No. That wasn't. No.
That's what I come up with in 5 seconds. This will be a full spoiler discussion. This episode was written by Cindy Apple and Chris Derrick, and directed by Dan Liu. So, recap segment. Previously on Picard. We're definitely going to die! Yep, definitely! Oh wait, no we're not. And now, as the bridge crew of the Titan relaxes and prepares to go home, Jack Crusher walks onto the bridge wearing a Starfleet uniform and carrying a phaser, and immediately opens fire. Within seconds, the bridge crew are all dead. Bald Vulcan Lady, Bajoran Guy, Crash LaForge, all of them.
Yep, didn't expect that.
Except for Bumpy Head Lady, who is actually still alive. And she looks at Jack Crusher and she's like, I know what you really are. And then Jack executes her. Then the whole scene starts to get overridden with those red vines we keep seeing. And then Jack Crusher wakes up. It was all a nightmare. Or was it? Jack looks down to realize he is standing alone in his room with a phaser in his hands. Then his eyes begin to glow red, and a voice that sounds kind of like Vatic says, "Come home."
See, I had subtitles on.
Okay.
And when there's the female voice that's like saying "find me" or whatever it's saying, it says Beverly's voice.
Ooh. It occurred to me to turn on subtitles, but then I forgot. For that very reason. So that's an interesting, if true. It sounded a lot like Vatic to me, so... but if it's Beverly, what does that mean?
No. We'll
We'll have to theorize later.
Yeah, I have theories, so...
Good.
We'll get there.
You saying that made me come up with a theory, so... Anyway, Riker does an acting captain's log where he explains they've made it back to Federation space and they're basically just hanging out, stopping for repairs. Riker, Picard, Shaw, and Seven have a little conference where they try to figure out how a changeling got on the Titan, because apparently all crew are scanned for changelingness before coming on board.
Yeah, so this was interesting. I mean, back in Deep Space Nine era, the changeling tests were not the best, as gets pointed out repeatedly in that show. Like the blood screenings just are not really the way to go. And I was like, they got to be able to find a better way. And then now we find out it's like, oh yeah, changelings can't create like internal organs. So you just like scan and see if they have internal organs. And I'm like, well, it should have been much easier to determine that like way back when.
Yeah. But my main question is, what about inanimate objects?
Yeah.
Because changelings can be those too.
Yeah, nobody thought about that. It's like changeling became somebody's like outfit and just got worn right onto the ship. And
also, this just brings to mind the TSA to me, where it's like everything gets scanned. But it's like anytime they do like a pen test to the TSA, they always get like 1 million guns and knives through. Because just everything's getting scanned and nobody's paying attention. And I can just imagine everybody having to go through those creepy, like, semi-X-ray doodads that show off your genitals.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm glad that they found an updated way, because the way back then never seemed good to me. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't think that this works as well as they think it does. Yeah. But when the episode started, I remember thinking, like, if they have not found some sort of better way to scan for changelings since the war, I'm going to be like furious. So they apparently did. I was like, that cannot be something they're just like, we don't have to worry about that anymore.
I mean, to be fair, I guess they've been at peace for like 25 years or whatever. So maybe they feel like they don't have to worry about it, but still.
Yeah, which really brings up another question that I had about this episode. Because Worf and Raffi know that there's some sort of rogue group of changelings. Well, supposedly, right. According to that one changeling, there's some sort of rogue group of changelings out doing stuff. But
no, it's according to Worf, because he got the information from his mysterious friend inside the Great Link.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, Odo said okay, but anyway,
or whoever it is,
right? But the people on the Titan do not know this, so. Right. To them, a changeling showing up and trying to kill them should be like, oh crap, is a new Dominion war started? Is like this the opening salvo of like a new conflict? But they don't seem very concerned about that.
Yeah, and like, I mean, we'll get to this in a second, but Picard and Riker just seem ready to like take off without giving it a second thought.
Yep, they're like, oh well.
Anyway, Riker and Picard hand command of the ship back to Shaw, who happily informs them that he's contacted Starfleet. And they're on their way to lay down the law. And then he leaves. He's like, okay, I'm going to leave, let you guys get your story straight.
Yep. First, he asks Seven if she wants to face it, like,
reinstated
or not instated or whatever. And she's like, instated. And so he does this thing where he's like, I hereby reinstate you.
Right. The official reinstatement procedure.
Now I'm going to leave the three of you alone to get your bullshit story together.
Right.
That was great.
And Picard's just like, don't worry, I'll take the whole fall. Just don't worry about it, guys. I don't know how well that's going to work, but...
I mean, maybe 7 of 9 could get away with, it's like, an admiral ordered me to do it.
Sure. Yeah, I guess there's a little wiggle room there. Picard could say, that was not me doing a Picard voice, that was my subway getting in my throat. But Picard could be like, I, like, threatened her with this and that, or whatever. They could make it play. But yeah, Picard goes outside and he runs into Beverly Jacks. He's like, well, guess that's all over. See you guys around. And Beverly's like, wait, no, did you forget all the stuff about the changelings? We didn't solve that mystery yet. And then she asks for Picard's permission to go examine the changeling, which, like, he has absolutely no authority, so he's just like, yeah, go wild. Here. And then Picard is alone with Jack, and he floats the idea. He's like, hey, maybe you can join Starfleet when this is all over. And Jack's like, no, I don't want to do that. And then Jack looks over and he sees the lady he killed in his dream just a little while ago. Back on Metalis Prime, Worf and Raffi practice sword fighting, or sword and sticks fighting, or whatever, when they get a call from Worf's mysterious handler. So now we have another layer of mysterious handler.
More mysterious handling, although apparently Worf knows who it is.
Right.
Because later when he sees Riker and Picard, he's like, wait, where's so-and-so?
Yeah. As if the people listening to this don't already know who it is. But
yeah,
the handler does not give them permission to investigate Daystrom, but says to find another way.
So at the time I was like, but why? And just they're kind of like, but why? Like, why would you not? But now it makes sense by the end of the episode.
Right. So, but yeah, Rafi's like, I'll break in, and this is Worf gives us a little expo that Daystrom is guarded by a, quote, sophisticated AI. So I wonder what that could be.
Well, it really had me wondering, like, because season 1 was all about, like, these artificial intelligences are bad and they've been outlawed.
Sure.
And I was just like, how quickly did they put an artificial intelligence in charge of Daystrom after they were illegal again? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. But luckily, Worf remembers that Sneed, the Ferengi whose head he chopped off, and we saw it multiple times, was friends with a guy named Kryn, which is the most generic alien name ever, and it when I'm not looking directly at it, it erases itself from my brain immediately. So, and Kryn just happens to be an expert at breaking into places. So that was a good thing to remember right then.
Mm-hmm.
So they head out to the dirty alley techno set thing, and all the people there run away from them because apparently everyone is afraid of them for the Sneed decapitation incident.
Yep. Worf says they have become the alphas.
It's like, we have become the alphas. So he just like kneels and waits for, quote, the criminal ecosystem to right itself.
Yep.
Which I guess he's expecting to happen in just like a couple of minutes. Back on the Titan, the USS Intrepid shows up to investigate the mutiny situation. Oddly, the security team insists on coming over in a shuttle. Picard uses the wait to ask Seven for one more favor. On the turbo lift, a very chipper Captain Shaw reminds Picard and Riker of all the questionable stuff they did, in addition to saving the galaxy.
Yeah, this guy, he talks about crash landing the saucer section of the Enterprise D, which, not really fair. I mean the Klingons blew up the ship. I don't know what you expected them to do.
Right. I mean, they had to do that because...
Yeah.
I mean, you could argue that maybe that was not the right time to put the ship's counselor at the helm. But they made the best of a bad situation.
And then the second thing he calls him out for is the thing from All Good Things where they like created a temporal rift thingy that almost like destroyed humanity in prehistory, which kinda, I mean, there was a lot of Q involved in that, but they do have some responsibility for that. But the one that really made me mad was he's like, yeah, you decided to like throw the Prime Directive out the window to like make out with some chick, some Baku chick. And I was like, wait. First of all, I don't think Prime Directive applied there because they already like knew. But also,
they're pretending to be a pre-warp civilization, but they were not one.
Yeah, but also like the Admiralty had already like conspired to do horrible things to these people, and like Picard was trying to fix what the Federation already screwed up. So that's really unfair.
Well, they had conspired to relocate them. I don't think that's really that horrible.
Well, I mean, they conspired with the Sona to relocate them so they could like plunder the natural resources of their planet.
Right, which were being like selfishly used by this very small group of people. But also, like, disobeying the Prime Directive was not the main thing they did bad there. They straight up like took off their uniforms and did an insurrection.
Yeah, but yeah, I was like, there's all sorts of stuff you should be able to call them out for. I don't feel like these are the things that you can.
I feel like those were like placeholders that the screenwriters forgot to go back and put something better in. But whatever. So the security team arrives, and Picard and Riker are shocked to see it led by Ensign Ro. Now Commander Ensign Ro. She reads Picard and Riker their rights. Which I thought was a funny little scene. It's like, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you if we bring charges. They're like, if you bring what charges? And it's like, well, if they bring any charges, that's like, just don't incriminate yourself. Like, don't talk to the police ever. Don't ask what the charges are before you, like, talk.
Well, I mean, like, asking what exactly it is you think you're going to charge us with is a completely fair thing.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. I mean, the police aren't going to tell you, probably, but...
She's like, treason. And immediately, my reaction was exactly what Picard's reaction was. Like, shortly after, I'm like, who the hell is she to be coming on here and accusing somebody else of treason? Like, that's messed up.
Yep. Meanwhile, Seven finds Jack and gives him a Starfleet uniform so he can hide from security. a uniform just like the one in his nightmare.
Yep.
Bum, bum, bum. Or maybe it's a coincidence. Beverly brings Crash LaForge to sickbay to confirm that the dead shapeshifter is not her, which is the stupidest exercise
That
ever.
was so... And then she, like, pukes, and the Dr. Crusher's like, okay, she's confirmed.
Okay.
That's not her.
Beverly and Dr. Oak examine the dead shapeshifter, which has maintained its form. They discover the changeling is filled with red plasma and could pass a blood test.
Apparently can pass, like, a dissection test until
Yeah.
you dissect it super a lot, or whatever she says.
Well, it just seems like if they can take the organs out, but as soon as they, like, stab the organs, then they turn into goo. That's what it looked like. So waiting to be interrogated, Picard is very angry that Ensign Ro is just apparently back in Starfleet and has doubts that she will treat them fairly. Ensign Ro comes in, and Picard is very hostile for this reason. She does a blood test to prove that she's not a changeling, which is worthless because all the blood stays on her hand. Like, I don't even think she got any on the knife. I guess Picard's like, whatever. Also, for some reason, her hair is swept back in this one scene, and only in this one scene, allowing Picard to see that her earring is missing, which Picard gets all indignant and high and mighty about, which, kind of like fuck off about that. Like, it's like, how dare you take off your Bajoran earring and abandon your faith? It's like, you don't even belong to that religion. Like, whatever. But Jack is having some weird symptoms and decides to go for a walk. He goes to a transporter room where the crew of the Titan are being transferred over to the Intrepid. And when they beam, Jack sees them turn into red vines. Then he has a vision of himself murdering the transporter operator. Back on Metalis Prime, in that dingy neon alley place, Kryn shows up. He is a Vulcan, which we can tell by his big gangster Vulcan necklace. Kryn sees through their attempt to get the drop on him using a mobile emitter and gets the drop on them in return. And Kryn is also played by Kirk Acevedo from Fringe and a bunch of other stuff, and I'm sure he's on 12 Monkeys too.
Yep, 35 episodes of 12 Monkeys.
Oh yeah. I was like, hey, that's the guy from Fringe. But I was like, that's going to turn out to be a 12 Monkeys guy. But at least I knew this guy ahead of time. Beverly and Oak continue their dissection of the changeling and discover that the changelings can now fake internal organs. In a flawless ruse, she fakes a call of test results to Picard to let him know. Which, like, it's like, I hate to interrupt you being interrogated, but I have your test results, Admiral Picard. He's like, don't look at my test results. These are private.
Yeah, and then they just pop up enormous on the screen.
They pop up on this it's like just ginormous screen. He's like, let me look at my test results. Which we talked about HIPAA, space HIPAA. I need to put a link to like HIPAA, because that's an important law. I forgot to do that in our The Wire. I will put a link to some HIPAA facts on this episode and that episode. If you're an American, you need to know your rights regarding your private health information.
It's true.
Like, just because you're on someone else's insurance doesn't mean that that person has the right to your private health information. There's all kinds of options you have. You can have your EOBs sent to alternate addresses, all kinds of stuff. Anyway, I'm sure there's a HIPAA website that explains all this out there somewhere. If you live in one of those crappy countries like England or something, I'm sorry, you're out of luck. I'm sure the royal family is just like thumbing through all your private health records.
Yeah, doubtless.
Yeah. Back to the episode. So Picard begins to be suspicious of Ensign Ro and has her explain how she got into Starfleet intelligence after being a traitor. Which he does. She asks to see the remains of the changeling. Again, everybody's under the impression that Picard is the guardian of this dead changeling.
Yep.
But on the way to sickbay, she pulls a phaser on Picard and diverts him to the holodeck, where the 10 Forward LA program is in progress, or gets quickly turned back on by Picard or something.
That's the only program this holodeck can run or something. I don't know.
It wasn't you and me talking about it. I think it was another podcast I was listening to, but it's like, why is there a 10 Forward LA program on the Titan?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it left over from when Riker was in charge, or did Picard bring it with him? Like,
it's just like on Next Generation, they never like brought programs. They were just like, hey, recreate this thing. And the computer just had a record of everything that existed that it could instantly recreate it. So I assume that's what's happening here.
Okay. Although, okay. But this one has a button under the bar that turns off the safety protocols.
Yep.
So, like,
Hell of a place for that.
Did Picard program that in, or like apparently right next to where a phaser is stashed also?
Yeah, and he knew it was there, so it does seem like maybe it's his program.
Yeah.
Although when he would be using this program, unless at his chateau he has like a personal holodeck for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, maybe. Okay, so maybe like whenever you go to a bar or a restaurant or something you can buy or like a souvenir you can take is a little holodeck program that you can take with you. So you can like, hang out there wherever you go as long as there's a holodeck or something. And maybe he grabbed one of those when last time they were at 10 Forward. And it's like this one comes with a turn off the safety protocols button right next to a phaser.
I mean, if you want to turn off the safety protocols, then, that might be...
Yeah.
That's probably a thing you might want.
Yeah. Yeah, presumably one goes with the other. Anyway, Picard and Ensign Ro have a tense Mexican standoff / airing of grievances session where they decide they both must be real because of how hurt their feelings are.
Yep. Which
is kind of reminiscent of that episode of Rick and Morty when... they discover the only way to decide if someone is a shapeshifter is if you have any bad memories of them or not. Although if the duplicate theory we've been playing with is true, where they can retain memories,
yep,
all this goes out the window.
Right.
Ensign Ro confides that she believes Starfleet is deeply compromised by the changelings and asks if Picard trusts her. He says yes. So she must know about the whole rogue faction thing, because Worf probably told her, right?
Yeah, I guess.
It's not made clear.
Mm-mm.
Back on Metalis Prime, a planet I deeply yearn to leave.
Yeah, it's just like, oh gosh, everybody we need to talk to is here.
Yep, in this one alley.
Yeah.
Kryn is angry, or the Vulcan version of angry.
Yeah, I mean, he's displeased that they killed his brother,
right?
Quote unquote, his Ferengi brother from another mother,
right? Whom he grew up on the mean streets of Metalis Prime with, presumably in that very alley.
Yeah, because where else could it have happened? Right. But so yeah, he's trying to logic it, but it really feels like he's stretching.
Yeah, I'm going to go on a limb and say that Kryn is not a very good Vulcan. So yeah, he throws some knives at them and makes them fight to the death.
Which Worf is into really fast, and I was just like, what is going on? Yeah. Like, there's no way that he's like, yeah, let's do this. I thought for sure he was going to like take both knives and like throw them into like some of the bad guys and like start, like kill them instantly and start a whole thing here. But
right. That would have been cool. But no, they just fight, and then Raffi wins, stabbing Worf in the stomach, which... for the first time since like Star Trek 6, we see purple Klingon blood. I think. It was kind of dark. And then Worf announces that this is a worthy death, which I disagree with, and then falls over. Worf, son of Moog, slayer of Gowron, and bane of House Duras, is dead. And in this moment, I realized, I don't care how much you turn this show around or how good it gets, you do not have permission to kill any main characters.
I don't necessarily agree, because I mean, this was not a good death is the problem. Like Worf randomly deciding, yeah, let's go ahead and fight to the death, and then losing to someone he's proven he can beat easily.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, no, this is a bullshit death. Like if they pulled like a Data from Nemesis and it's like somebody goes out saving everybody else, and I could allow that maybe, but yeah, this I was just instantly like, no. Like I assume that it's not true somehow. Right. There's no way they can do this and kill Worf like that.
Yeah, the whole time I was
acceptable.
No, yeah, no. Worf cannot die like this. Absolutely not. So I don't know. Just in that moment, I became kind of aware that the separation between the actual Star Trek Next Gen series and this series, where this one just feels a little bit less official than that one. So I was like, no, if you're going to kill someone, you better be very, very, very careful what you do. But anyway, back in the bar, Ensign Ro expresses her terror at the seeming pervasive infiltration of every level of Starfleet. She mentions she is afraid to use the transporters, which she never elaborates on. And that would be nice if she did.
Well, she says that there's been like some weird transporter incidents across the fleet.
Okay.
And so she's just like, I don't know what that is, but I don't trust it.
That might have slipped by me. She suspects that the evil plans might have something to do with, what's it called? Not Fleet Day.
No, it's, oh, I knew it until you asked.
Yeah. Frontier Day?
Frontier Day, that's it.
And she says she hasn't been allowed to see the security plans. Picard suggests they take this to Admiral Janeway and Chancellor Roll. I don't know who that is, but...
He's the Chancellor, obviously.
Okay. I guess Admiral Janeway is just now the Chief Admiral of all of Starfleet or something.
I thought she was over like Starfleet security or something. Hold on, let me see what Janeway's up to, according to the internets.
I mean, I don't think we know for sure unless it was said in this show. So
I mean, she also appears in as a hologram in the animated new Star Trek show.
Sure, okay.
So that it might be mentioned in there what she's up to. I don't know. Okay, yeah, no, it doesn't say. Just that she's very influential.
Yep. But it doesn't matter because apparently those guys are surrounded by sinister gatekeepers.
Yep.
All Ro has are 2 trusted mystery assets on the ground investigating, which it's kind of interesting. She has these 2 mystery assets, and then Worf and Raffi have this mystery handler.
I mean, honestly, it's like Picard knows your assets. You could have just told him. It's like, yeah, I'm working with these 2 because I feel I can trust them.
Yeah, that's true. I guess it's all the situations where you just can't keep track of who knows what. And it's like, Worf and Raffi. It's like, oh, I know Worf and Raffi.
Well, she should know that he knows Worf, at the very least.
Yeah. It's like, wait, were you on the Enterprise at the same time I was serving with Worf? Anyway, back on Metalis Prime, Kren tells Raffi, "You work for me now," as his henchmen drag away the definitely dead Worf. Unfortunately for him, all his henchmen suddenly get stabbed, and he finds himself held at knife point by Worf.
I just love the whole thing because Worf's like, no, I mean, you stabbed me real good. I'm seriously bleeding over here. We need to get me medical attention.
No, I'm bleeding. Let me be clear. I need a doctor. But yeah, he's like, he used the K-less technique of heartbeat regulation to fake his death. And then he also had possibly the best line of the episode, which is, Klingons never disappoint.
Oh, Admiral Janeway totally is in Star Trek Nemesis. I'd forgotten that.
Yeah, I do remember, but it was just like a phone call scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess she's moved up even further in the decades since then.
So, Kren once again reiterates that Daystrom Station is guarded by a highly sophisticated AI, but it has illogical flaws. So he designed a device to exploit those flaws. And then he says he will give Worf and Raffi that device.
It's like, they're like, so, and you're going to give us that device, right? And he's like, that would be logical.
Yeah. It's like, with a knife to my throat, yes, I believe I will be doing that.
This guy is he's not a good Vulcan, as you mentioned. And I just feel like this is the guy who, like, whatever the belief system, he twists it so that it says whatever he wants it to say. So it's like the equivalent of somebody who has, the Bible or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, this means this thing that I want it to mean in this one passage. So like that's what his use of logic feels like to me. He's just like, I'm going to be a gangster, and being a gangster is totally logical.
Right, because any utopian society needs crime or something like that. Okay. So Ensign Ro advises to Picard to take the Titan with a skeleton crew and just run. And she says a tearful goodbye to Picard and gives him her earring.
Which is not her earring that she wore on the show, by the way. It appears to be the earring that Kira wore on DS9. Like, because Rose earring was very different.
Well, I assume she just went to the spy store and was like, hey, do you have a Bajoran earring I can put a data chip in? We've talked before about how either Ro is a straight up Pa Wraith worshiper, or she just doesn't care about religion or something. But
well, that's kind of what Picard says in this episode. He's like, originally that broke uniform code, but you were like, no, it's my religion is important to me, and then it turned out that it was just really just like a power play,
right? But yeah, Picard goes to the bridge, tries to get Shaw to take the ship and run. Shaw is understandably skeptical.
He was so happy when he thought they were getting their comeuppance. He's like humming happily, and then he's like, wait, what? Like, most of my crew is gone, and now you're like, hey, we need to run. What the hell is this?
I like when he calls security, and Riker's like, belay that. It's like, how are they still listening to Riker over him? That must be very frustrating. So aboard Ensign Rose's shuttle, her security officers put what I assume is that exact same Dominion bomb prop on the floor. It seems to be,
yeah.
Which, okay, what are those tubes called? Do they have those, like, number displaying tubes? They have a name.
Do they? I mean, they just look like little vacuum tubes with numbers in them to me. I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to spend 1 second looking this up.
A Nixie tube.
Okay, Nixie tube. That's what I was thinking of. Okay.
I googled tubes with numbers in them, and that's what popped up.
That is exactly what I was thinking of.
Or cold cathode display.
So apparently the Dominion has Nixie tubes too. Or they just, they went to the electronics store and they were like, just give us whatever you can. That'll display some numbers. It was not addressed, and it's not really within the scope of the show. So anyway, yeah, they set up this bomb. They beam back to the Titan. And then they shapeshift into different forms so we know for sure that they are changelings.
Yeah. Very, very helpful.
That was entirely for our benefit. So Ro calls the Titan, but they can't beam her out for some reason. And
there's a transport blocky.
Sure. There's transport inhibitors all over the place.
Although she's like, maybe if we get closer, we can do it. And I was like, you guys were really close to that ship earlier, and you couldn't transport through the inhibitors.
But yeah, she's just like, well, can't beam out. There's no time to disarm the bomb. She decides to crash the shuttle into the Intrepid's warp nacelle to give Picard what he gave her years ago, a fighting chance. This is what she does, and Picard and crew have precious little time to mourn before the Intrepid comes around and prepares to attack.
Yeah, she suicides right into that warp nacelle, but apparently the other ship is affected very little by that.
Okay, it also bothered me that the warp nacelles on the Intrepid look exactly the same as the warp nacelles on the Titan.
Yeah, and the thing was, that ship shows up, and I was like, oh man, ugly warp nacelles. And then I got to look at the rest of the ship, and I was like, oh, just super ugly ship. Oh, no.
Yeah.
So I was just like, can we get some ships that aren't hideous, please?
Yeah, that one... Okay, I'm sorry if you're like the ship designer on this show. Those ships...
I'm not. Get better.
Yeah.
Come on.
Those ships do not look good. Like, put a little bit of like design and like, they need to have some of that panache,
Okay, so apparently this ship, the USS Intrepid, is a Duderstadt class ship.
Okay. I'm sure that's a friend of somebody.
I was about to say, there's got to be more. One ship of this class is the USS Intrepid. Unorthodox design in which the warp nacelles were mounted on the posterior extension of the saucer section with a separate, relatively small engineering section. Substantially larger than the Constitution III class vessel and could carry at least 500 passengers.
Huh.
At least two shuttle bays, rather. Deflector shields, phaser array, photon... Here we go. The name of the class was provided on Twitter by Dave Blass, who also emphatically confirmed that it was named after Dorothy Duder, the, in 2022, deceased wife of Doug Drexler, and not the German town. Drexler co-designed the class with Bill Krause. So, I love the hyphenated in 2022 deceased. So it's like, as of 2022, she was deceased. We can't speak to like any other years before or after.
So So if I understand that story correctly, one of the guys who designed the Intrepid has passed away. Or his wife has
passed away. Yeah.
Okay. Still makes it feel a little mean to say that it's an ugly ship, but...
Yeah. Okay, so Bill Krause, model maker, contributor to the Star Trek Ships of the Line calendar.
So he's somehow weaseled his way into an official ship designer position in the Trek universe, is what it sounds like.
He came to the attention of Doug Drexler in 2015 when Krause, an accomplished model maker, entered 2 Star Trek-themed starship models into the May 2015 Louisville, Kentucky Wonderfest model competition. And so Krause was like, when he saw that, he asked me to submit stuff for the Ships of the Line calendar. And so that's how he got into this official thing. Although he was like, I had to use like digital models, but I prefer to use physical models.
Maybe his real world models look better or something.
Drexler's close friend and likewise veteran co-worker on numerous Star Trek productions, including Picard, and Wonderfest regular John Eves, brought Krause to the attention of Dave Blass, the production designer on Picard's 2nd and 3rd seasons, and he became officially involved. Okay, so yeah, that's one of the guys. Doug Drexler is the other one. This guy, I think, has been involved with Star Trek a lot longer. So this artist has been contributing to Star Trek both officially and unofficially since the 1970s.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, Doug Drexler has a bit more of a tenure here. His first assignment was putting on the Shakespeare makeup on Patrick Stewart for the Next Generation 3rd season episode The Defector. How eager Drexler was to work on Star Trek was exemplified by the fact that he was already working in the makeup department before Dick Tracy even received its 3 Oscars out of 7 nominations. Actually winning one was an unending source of glee for Next Generation actor LeVar Burton.
Okay, wait, how is Dick Tracy involved in this?
That's okay. That must have been earlier in the... Okay, so Drexler moved into Hollywood in 1990 to work on Dick Tracy. There you go. So that's okay. How. Dick Tracy featured many Star Trek alumni in the cast, including Colomini, a bunch of other people whose names I don't really know. There's a long list of names, and most of them I'm not familiar with. Sure. So, but apparently it says that LeVar Burton, when Drexler would come on to set, would tease him and be like, "Ladies and gentlemen, Academy Award-winning makeup artist Doug Drexler."
Nice. Well, the main point is the ship designs suck. And...
yeah, do better.
And I was thinking, because when I was watching this episode, I was like, am I starting to come around to the Titan ship design? And then later I was like, no, I'm not.
I had the same thought, like at the beginning, and it was when I was watching, it go through the, creating the Delta. And I don't know if you've noticed, the Shrike is in the background as the Intrepid, or not the Intrepid, the Titan flies in to like do the Delta thing. And this is the first time I spotted that. And I was like, oh hey, what's that doing there? But yeah, as that was happening, I was like, am I coming around on this? I mean, it's like vaguely reminiscent of the Sovereign class, and I do love the Sovereign class. And then as the episode continues, I'm just like, no, I'm not.
See, where were we in the episode?
We're at the end because they're about to like shoot him.
Yeah, Ensign Ro did her brave sacrifice, which this is an okay death. This is okay because it also kind of brings a little bit of emotional closing the circle. Yeah, with Ro and Picard and Riker, in an okay way. At least she didn't get stabbed in the dirty back alley.
True.
In a fight to the death with a friend. Anyway,
I mean, it felt. Yes, she got kind of a heroic thing, and given like the way the episode went as a whole, it felt appropriate. It's like, but at the same time, it's just like, oh, she showed up for like a few minutes to drop this information on us, and it was like, oh my gosh, she's back, and then it's like, okay, now she's dead. All right. I
mean, yeah, I think it's just helped by the fact that Ro was always kind of a more of a recurring character than a main character, even though she was in a bunch of great episodes. But
and I do have to say, I think back in the first episode, we called the possibility of Ro being a return surprise this season, and we got that right. I'm still holding out for Chief O'Brien.
Yeah, exactly. I have that in my notes. I was like, Ro came back. Is O'Brien around the corner? Yeah. But I do not give them permission to kill O'Brien.
Good point. Yeah, we don't want him coming back just to die.
Yeah, if you bring him back, you bring him back in a happy way. Anyway, so blah 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 blah. The Intrepid comes around, prepares to attack. Shaw is shocked, but comes around, getting ready to go to warp. Notably, he does not give up his captain's chair this time, though. As they go to red alert, the 2 security officers catch up with Jack Crusher, beaming in 2 more officers to apprehend him.
Presumably also changelings.
Well, I mean, confirmed changelings later, but...
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I'd kind of forgotten that.
But Jack goes into Jason Bourne mode and kills all 4 of them, having a vision of red vines and a red door and all that stuff.
And once again, what kills and does not kill these changelings is so unclear. Like, earlier, 7 of 9 used what I'm pretty sure was that exact same gun and shot a bunch of holes in the changeling, and it didn't do anything. And then this time, he shoots each of them with, like, a hole and with that gun, and it kills them. So I don't know.
So I almost don't want to go into this, but so he's got that phaser that looks like a Star Trek classic phaser. And then we saw Ensign Rowe has a more updated looking phaser that looks like a laser tag gun or something. And then Picard had what looked like the exact same model of phaser, but it was the Guinan's personal one that was under her bar. I don't know what's going on with the phaser props in this in this show.
I didn't look at them that closely, except to be like, isn't it the same sort of thing that we saw earlier? And I don't even know if that's right. But now I'm trying to find some pictures or something of the phasers in this episode.
Because I'm kind of not clear where Jack got that phaser, but
I thought he took it from one of them or something. Okay, there's Ensign Rowe's phaser. Oh yeah, those look very similar. The one that she's holding and the one that he's holding in whatever this image is from. What kind of phasers are you using in this?
Yeah.
For some reason, sometimes I feel like they have like Enterprise phasers that had like the 2 settings that like the thing flips around at the front for whatever setting, but that's not right.
I don't know. So, to wrap up this episode, the Intrepid opens fire in the Titan. They warp out just in the nick of time. Picard goes off and ponders about the earring, which Riker immediately realizes is a spy device, and he throws it on the desk, and all our investigation files come up.
Yeah, that was nice. Good that he's on top of things.
I like this because I think it shows that kind of like Riker always was more in tune with Ro.
He was. It's true.
They always had that kind of like they didn't like each other, but there was like weird sexual chemistry or whatever. And then didn't they sleep together that one time?
Yeah,
when their memories were
erased?
Their
memories got erased. Absolutely. So yeah, they slept together a bunch.
So I think Riker was just immediately like, A, that's not her earring. B, she doesn't give 2 shits about religion. This has got to be some sort of like spycraft type thing. He's like, whoop, files come up. Suddenly they get a phone call from Worf. What a coincidence, they all say. Oh, also in her files is the Enterprise F again.
Oh, did it? I didn't see that.
This is the second time this has happened where I paused it, not even like trying to look at that stuff. I just paused it because I had to go do something else real fast. And when I came back, I looked at it, and like there was the Enterprise F with like the caption like slated for early decommission. It didn't say Enterprise F, but I assumed that's what it was. Which is how I saw it the last time too. So it's like just weird. I keep noticing this weird detail.
One of the weird details that I noticed was when Worf brings up the information on Krill or whatever his stupid name is. Like it all flashes by. Whatever. It all flashes by pretty fast. I did spot it mentions that he's a Vulcan, and so I saw it then when he's looking it up, and I was like, "Is he really? Did I see that right? Is this crime lord going to be a Vulcan?" And honestly, I was still kind of surprised when he was a Vulcan, even though I'd seen that. But also, there's a moment in there where you once again see like the known associates being like Okana and Morn and Brunt or whatever. So I was like, "Oh, that's fun."
Oh, interesting. I guess I looked at a different screenshot because I did pause that to look at it real fast, but it was like species unknown, age unknown, home planet unknown, and all this stuff. So maybe it was like a different file. They're always like flashing around different files on top of each other and stuff.
Yeah, it's true. Everything goes so fast.
But yeah, at the end of the episode in the sick bay, Shaw, Beverly, Oak, and Jack marvel at the 4 dead changelings, which I guess is actually 5 dead changelings now. Beverly asked Jack, "What's up?" referencing a time when he was a kid and he had terrible nightmares and didn't want to go to sleep. Then she asks how he knew all the security guys were changelings. And he's like, "I didn't. I think there's something very wrong with me." And then Beverly just kind of stares blankly and nods her head ambiguously, as if to say, either I'm processing this information or I agree, something is wrong with you. Or something. The end. Okay, so let's dive into theories.
Okay, go ahead. You can go first.
Okay, okay. Number 1. These aren't necessarily full-fledged theories, but okay, definitely more meat for the Jack Crusher duplicate theory. And so when you say that Beverly's voice is the one saying, like, "Come find me," or "Come home," or whatever, could he be in a coma? Could they all be in the Matrix? Something like that. This is very half-baked. This is like quarter-baked.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
But he could still be the Chief O'Brien type duplicant from that one episode. Or a special alternate changeling or whatever.
See, my thought when I read that was Beverly's voice, I was like, wait a second. So what if Beverly's the one who's been replaced by a changeling and he's got some sort of connection to his mother that, like, she's somewhere and she's like, come and save me or whatever.
Okay.
But then
maybe they got put through some kind of like psychic procedure together, or
she could have tried to replicate like that. There's that episode of Next Generation, Attached, where like she and Picard get attached. So I was like, maybe she intentionally replicated something like that.
She reactivated that thing in her brain to try to reach out or something. Okay.
Well, I meant like just in general, like as she's raising her son and they're going through all of these like dangerous things, she's like, let me like create a lesser version of that so that we can like keep a hold of each other if something happens.
Okay.
But that may be a big stretch. And then as the episode progresses, I was like, okay, but if she was a changeling, why would she reveal the super secret of the changelings that now they can like pass all the tests and only super dissection will reveal them? So that kind of, at that point, I'm like, well, okay, now I don't know what I'm thinking.
Maybe to put herself above suspicion or something. Or maybe it is another case of she doesn't know she's a changeling.
Yeah.
This is all very interesting stuff. I also have down, did they leave the 10 Forward program running with the safety protocols off?
Oh, good point. Maybe that's going to come into the story somehow.
Because I was just thinking, like, it's in the credits, like, safety protocols off, so...
Yep.
Could that come back into play? We'll see. Okay, we're talking about this mysterious AI guardian of the Daystrom Institute. Okay, so you had the theory a while ago, or one of us did, that maybe Lore was on the loose and they brought back Moriarty as the only villain who can defeat Data, and therefore probably Lore too.
Right.
What if Moriarty is the guardian of Daystrom Station now? Like, he just got that job.
Mm-hmm.
And they've used his device that can get past Moriarty if Moriarty is the guardian of Daystrom Station. It, like, uses a chip from Lore's brain or something. And, like, Lore can also defeat Moriarty. Or maybe, like, when Lore shows up, Moriarty has no choice but to engage in a Sherlock Holmes-style cat-and-mouse game with him, which distracts him long enough that they can sneak on the station.
That would be hilarious, actually. See, my thinking was that, because I had a similar thought, but I was thinking it could be either way. It could be like somehow Lore is the thing that's guarding the station, and Moriarty is the thing that can like get around him, or vice versa.
Sure. Okay, yeah. So maybe it's like Lore is the guardian of the station, and the device has the brain of Moriarty in it, or something that he
either way
got from the black market or something.
Yeah, if one of those two is correct, I feel like you're doing something really wrong, Daystrom Station people. Yeah. This is not what you want in charge of your security.
Yeah, maybe like make a special security program that has no like extra Sherlock Holmes baggage or evil robot baggage.
Yeah, just not evil.
Yeah.
Let's start there.
No history of evil. Let's start from good. and work from there.
It's just like I guess you said you haven't been watching the most recent season of Mandalorian, but
Right.
In the most recent episode, there's a very it turns out that the New Republic has a program to rehabilitate people who worked for the Empire, but in what seems to me the most dehumanizing way possible, where it's like this super important scientist who's working for the Empire is like goes through a rehabilitation program, and then all of these former Empire officers who've now been allowed to like help in the New Republic, they don't get names. Like their names seem to be taken away, and they're assigned like alphanumeric designators. It's like, yeah, I'm R76, and they've put like the guy who had done all this super advanced cloning research into like this super boring desk job where he's sitting there, like they bring him carts of stuff and he like scans the cards or whatever. And I'm just like, this is the worst possible way to try to go about this. Like, you're just asking for trouble.
Yeah.
Just start with people who have no history of evil. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not that?
I'm sure there's like, people graduating from college who would do this job.
Yeah.
We talked about Ro is back as O'Brien right around the corner. In my opinion, all like people from DS9 are on the table. All possibilities are open.
The day will be saved when like Prophet Cisco returns to sort things out for us.
That would be interesting.
Although I really have my doubts that they would get Avery Brooks to reprise his role.
Is he not super
like,
up on it lately?
He wouldn't even come back for like some of the documentary stuff that they were trying to do about like the various captains and things.
Well, as actors get older, sometimes they want to pad up that retirement nest egg. So
it's true.
We'll see.
I assume that's why half of these people are here.
Yeah. I just think that would be great if you just like was in full like Jesus mode or something. He's like all glowing and anyway.
Now I have to think. Michael Dorn has a relatively consistent gig just doing like voiceover work and stuff like that.
Sure.
And random TV show appearances, so he may not be hurting for a lot of cash. LeVar Burton, I don't know what he's up to. I mean, I always just feel like LeVar Burton's okay. Like, sure. He was up for the gig on Jeopardy for a while, which I was like, we absolutely should have had him.
That would have been awesome. Why didn't they get him?
I guess, the other two people that they ended up selecting were decided that they were better than
the alternating Ken Jennings and Blossom tag team.
Right. Although only after, like, the guy who was in charge of picking decided himself as the choice.
Yes, I remember that whole thing now.
But anyway, I feel like LeVar Burton's okay. I don't think we've seen Gates McFadden in anything in a very long time. So I'm going to pull up her IMDb. So, she may be like, hey, let me get some of that Trek money. Sure.
I mean, I assume they all must be doing pretty good just from like next gen residuals.
That's probably true. Patrick Stewart, though, is just he's I feel like he's doing good in general. He can always do some Shakespearean acting. He was Professor X. He could do whatever he wants.
Oh yeah, I mean Patrick Stewart's gotta be like worth gazillions.
Yeah, he was knighted. He's fine. Brent Spiner seems to have made a living just out of playing data characters.
Sure.
Or data-related characters. Gates McFadden was on one episode of NCIS. I'm going to have to go back and look at that episode of NCIS because I don't remember it.
I mean, I assume they're all happy for the paycheck no matter what their situation is.
It's probably true.
And, it's just like, I don't know. Like, I feel like LeVar Burton would always be game to come be Geordi again. That's just
LeVar Burton seems like a guy who's up for it, up for whatever.
That's just the vibe I always get from him. And Michael Dorn, he just seems to love being Worf. So
LeVar Burton shows up on The Big Bang Theory like a couple of times, and it's always just hilarious. And Brent Spiner, oh man, I don't know if you've ever seen those appearances on that show, but
no.
Brent Spiner is so much fun. Where it's like one of the main characters hates Will Wheaton because he, as a kid, took a bus to this convention that Will Wheaton was supposed to be at to get his like Will Wheaton action figure signed, and then Will Wheaton didn't show up. So he's hated Will Wheaton forever. And then in this episode, Will Wheaton who has been actually like a recurring villain on the series. He's always like this asshole, but he's trying to make peace in this episode. He's like invites them to a party at his place, and he's like, "Hey, I got like this super rare like Will Wheaton action figure, and I signed it for you to like make up for what happened." And the guy's like, "Oh my gosh, that's so great!" And then Brent Spiner is at the party, and he just shows up. He's like, "Oh my gosh, I haven't seen one of these in forever." And he takes it away from him and rips open the packaging and pulls out the action figure and is like, "Hey, remember when we used to like take these and make them look like they were making out with each other?" And then
Nice.
the guy's like, "What? No, Brent Spiner, now you're on my enemies list."
Sure.
It's great.
Remember the time we were walking down the street in San Diego and we passed Brent Spiner, but I didn't recognize him and you did?
I absolutely do. We were on our way to that True Blood party.
Oh yeah.
And
where we got real True Blood.
Yep. I saw him coming and he was walking the opposite direction, passed us on the sidewalk, and I waited until he'd like gone enough that I thought he wouldn't hear us. And I was like, yeah, that was Brent Spiner. Because I didn't want to,
right.
I didn't want to mess with him while he's walking down the street
Sure.
of the city during Comic-Con. But yep, that was a good time.
You should just been loudly like, "Hey, it's Brent Spiner. What a loser." That was a long time ago.
Yeah, that was before the summer before the last season of Lost aired.
Was it even the last season? I guess it was.
It was the last season because we went to the panel.
I remember going to the
season.
Lost panel. A lot happened on that trip to Comic-Con.
That was 2009, I think.
Okay, that sounds
Comic-Con.
about right. Yeah. We don't have time to rehash everything that happened on that trip to Comic-Con, but
it was,
it was a time.
An eventful trip.
Okay, so wrapping up my theory list, I have transporters, ?
Yeah, there seems to be something with that.
So are the transporters infusing people with changelingness, or
That's one of the theories I saw on Reddit that people had, was that maybe the changelings are becoming are able to be people because the transporters are like combining them. And then someone's like, well, then they definitely need to get Admiral Janeway because she has Tuvix experience.
If anybody can separate two beings that have been transported together, it's Janeway.
Yep.
That would be great if this all culminates in a like redemption of Janeway's like Tuvix thing.
So, you know who we need to bring back to fix this is Tuvix. And somehow they get Neelix in here and they get Tuvok and they stick them together again.
Or it just turns out that like Tuvok and Neelix just decided to become Tuvix again after they got back to the Alpha Quadrant.
Or the season's going to end with all of the main characters combined with other main characters into new characters.
That would be very interesting.
It's like, who's going to combine? So you put like Picard and Riker together, maybe.
It's like, I can get the changeling out of you, but I have to combine you with somebody else. So are you sure? Are we sure that this Admiral Janeway is the best person to do this job?
Maybe we should consult someone else. Can we get Chief O'Brien? He knows transporters. Get him in here. And Chief O'Brien's like, what are you people even doing? No, so you just like hit these buttons and then everything's fine.
So no, look at this. There's the changeling pattern right there. Okay, I'm gonna hit this button. Okay, now it's gone forever. Meanwhile, like, Rykard is like,
yeah, Rykard. There you go. I kept thinking Pryker, and I was like, that's not a good name at all.
And then my very last note is, are we going somewhere with this Enterprise F stuff, or are they just dropping these little...
Like, it seems like it must be.
Like, if the Titan gets rechristened as the Enterprise, or if they reassemble a new Galaxy-class ship and call it the Enterprise G, or just call it the D again, or whatever.
Yeah, just to go back to D again.
I don't know. Okay, so that's all my theories. You got any others on your list?
I think you hit on like most of the stuff that I had thoughts about. So let me except for like where are we going now? Right. We're on the run from all of Starfleet now. I keep expecting them to go and find Geordi at the Fleet Museum, right? But I don't know that seems like the next stop. Maybe the next stop is to pick up Worf and Rafi and finally get off that planet.
Yeah, please get Worf and Rafi.
What's going to happen is the Titan goes there, and then the Titan gets destroyed, and then we're all on that planet for the rest of the season.
The whole rest of the season is in that one back alley.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess that is a good logical step for them to go next, because it's like, hey, Worf, where are you? I am on Metalis Prime, and I need a ride.
Yeah, why do you want to be there? That place sucks.
Although,
I mean, they have Rafi's ship.
Yeah,
but...
yeah, they have Rafi's ship, so... Let's see, I guess, unless there's some super amazing Reddit theories or something you want to bring up real fast, but we're running a little bit long.
No, I don't think so. Okay. Just a lot of R.I.P. roll, Aaron.
Yeah.
Oh, here's some alternate titles. The Rodemption. Red Dead Rodemption. See, that's the alternate title for the...
Okay, I'm
taking that.
Those are good, for sure.
Dead Redemption is... Okay, that's...
Dead Redemption. I like it. Good job, Reddit. Okay, so real quick, so needle on the season, up, down.
See, somebody that I know in one of the Discords I'm in is like, oh my gosh, Picard, this season of Picard just turned the knob turned it to 11, then ripped off the knob and hit me in the head with it. And I was like, I don't feel quite that. Like, Starfleet has been infiltrated by changelings, and now we're on the run. That's, as soon as we found out changelings were involved, I kind of figured that's the kind of place we were going.
Sure.
Like, I don't feel like it's as big a move as some other people I've seen feel like it is. But as potential, stories, mysteries for the season go, at least I feel like we're beginning to get a handle on what the season is about, sure, ostensibly, which is good because we're like almost halfway through it now.
Or we are halfway through.
Halfway through it now, yeah. So I don't dislike the way that we're going.
Sure.
Sad about Ro, sad that we're still on the Titan and that all the ships are ugly, but those are really minor gripes probably in the grand scheme of things, and I feel like maybe we're going to get going now. Maybe we're going to have fewer stuck on the same planet, stuck inside a nebula stories for the rest of the season. So I am cautiously optimistic at this point.
Yeah, if they ramp up the pace, I'm definitely good. So, like, I definitely, like, my excitement level definitely increased in episode 3 when we got the changelings.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like one of the most amazing things is the way they've been able to play some of the emotional beats and make me actually care about Jack Crusher, which I was not expecting to be a thing that would happen. And I feel like kind of what they did with Ensign Ro in this episode also, where it was like the closure I didn't even realize I needed with her whole situation.
Yeah.
So I was like, that kind of worked for me. And also, I kind of made this decision, like, between last episode and this episode, where it's like, okay, I'm going to now watch the show, like, knowing that it's capable of being good. And, like, holding it to that, like, expectation. And also, like, allowing myself to, like, be a little bit less guarded and try to enjoy the show. And I think that, so far, has not, like, let me down yet, so...
I'm starting to not like Shaw more as a person, but to enjoy the inclusion of this character who really doesn't want to be here and is just so put upon at every turn. I'm like, okay, I'm getting the joy of having that character on the show.
I liked seeing him, like, just so happy, thinking it was finally over and he was going to get his ship back and all this stuff. Yeah, that was pretty fun. Of course, I always enjoy Shaw, but
yeah, you have enjoyed Shaw more from the beginning than I have. For sure,
I mean, I've taken a few little like step backs. Like, am I in on Shaw? But I'm in on Shaw. I'm all in on Shaw. So,
and there's one thing that I have to read off of Reddit because this is a great bit. Somebody goes, "When is Starfleet not compromised at the highest level?" Like, I bet the only reason Starfleet hasn't collapsed is because these infiltrators keep unknowingly killing their competition.
Right.
Which in a way is very true. Like, you didn't see season 1, but like the lady in charge of Starfleet security, it turns out, is like a plant, like a deep cover agent for like this secret Romulan organization that hates AI and wants to destroy all AI. So it's just like, Starfleet always is compromised.
So it's like the Three Stooges syndrome of like...
That's exactly what one of the comments, one of the responses is like, Starfleet is like Mr. Burns. They've been infiltrated by so many enemies that they're all stopping each other from completing their plans.
Nice. And in the process, they're all really effective, like, administrators and stuff, too. So
yeah,
it like keeps the whole thing running.
We found a very strange equilibrium, but it works, apparently.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. So yeah, I don't know if they ripped off the 11 knob and hit me in the head with it, but I am pleasantly surprised by the season, and I hope if it goes along at this level of quality, I'll be quite satisfied.
Yes, this will feel like, I mean, if we continue at the rate that we've been, and we get a decent resolution to the story, it will feel like a great ending for this show, assuming that they are, as they claimed, going to end it.
Right. Especially since, I don't know, again, I forget what stuff we've talked about and what stuff I've heard on other podcasts, but it's like, Terry Matalas apparently said, like, the All Good Things was a great wrap up to the next gen, but then the movies came along, and then he felt like they kind of needed another wrap up to kind of settle the movies. And so that's kind of like his goal with this season. And so, like, if that's his attitude, and if, like, we've seen where he's, like, kind of wanting to pick up loose ends, like the Ro Laren situation, and kind of try to give them, like, little satisfying bows to conclude them, then I'm okay with that.
Now I'm trying to think about the movies. I feel like Generations was a decent wrap-up because, like, the ship's gone,
sure,
but everybody's in kind of a good, like, mental place at the end of that.
Sure.
And you killed off Kirk, which was like a big dangling thread, actually, from, like, whatever happened to Kirk.
Yeah, Kirk fell off a bridge and died on some rocks, not really doing anything, but at least he's dead now.
Generations, I feel like, would have been a fine wrap-up. First Contact, I love First Contact. First Contact is my favorite Star Trek movie of all time. I don't know that First Contact feels like, and the story continues. Like,
yeah, like if First Contact would have taken place before some of that other stuff, that's what they should have done with First Contact. It's just been like, this takes place between All Good Things and Generations. Kind of like, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom or whatever. It's like, inexplicably, this just takes place earlier. Don't even worry about it.
Then we get Insurrection, which definitely doesn't feel like it wraps up anything.
Right.
In fact, they're really trying hard for, like, now we're all young and hip again, and we can go back out and do some more trekking. And Riker's going to go get his own ship and whatever. So, and then I get Nemesis kills Data. I guess that's their attempt to wrap something up. I don't approve of it, but
Yeah. And apparently they just kept going on being a crew.
Yeah.
After that, until
so maybe we did need a wrap up.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But yeah, we'll see how they pull it off. I'm very interested to see, at the very least. Okay, final thoughts before we wrap this up.
No, I just I don't know.
You don't know.
I'm like I said, cautiously optimistic, but
Right.
I'm interested to see where we're going from here, and I'm
Sure.
a little sad that we won't get to record next week and what happens. I mean, I may end up watching it if I have some downtime on a train or something, but it'll be a while before we get to discuss it.
Yeah, that's true. We'll just have to. So you're getting back on what, Tuesday night?
I'm getting back. Hold on, let me pull up the calendar again. Yes, late Tuesday.
So maybe we could sneak in a record on Wednesday or something if you're settled back in or something.
I've got Wednesday off work to try to like decompress from jet lag and whatever else. So probably we could do an episode or two record on that Wednesday.
Okay, and then we'll just release it a little bit late. Do something like that.
Okay.
But if you have any suggestions, you can put them in the comments, people. But we will definitely be back for episode 7. I see no reason why we wouldn't be. So
apparently episode 6 is going to be called Bounty.
Ooh. No, that's what's the quicker picker upper?
Yeah, Bounty.
Oh, that is Bounty. Okay.
The quicker picker upper of Jack Crusher.
Not a sponsor of this podcast or even I just buy like store brand paper towels. I don't.
Yeah, I buy a giant thing at Sam's, wherever they sell.
Okay. But so we're like 80 minutes into this recording. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening. Remember, you can also check out our Deep Space Nine podcast, Undeclared Bajor. Also, check out the description where I occasionally put links to interesting things. I'm Fletcher, about to say goodbye as Data.
See ya.
Till next time, do not seek anger, do not seek blame, but do seek a good bottle of wine.
No, what's the whiskey or whatever that they do?
Oh yeah, seek out a good bottle of Swafford whiskey.
The quicker picker upper. Wait, no.
The quicker picker upper than putter downer of you.